Hey guys, I am back with another book talk. So the books I will be talking about today are book 1, The Sword of Summer, and book 2, The Hammer of Thor and the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series by Riordan. For those of you who don't know, the Magnus Chase series is another fabulous work done by Riordan, but instead of focusing on Roman and Greek, and then of course there's the Egyptian series, we are now focusing on Norse mythology, which goes along with Vikings. And I mean, Vikings are pretty badass, so who wouldn't want to read a series about their, like, gods and stuff? But if you haven't read these, goodbye. I would have done, like, one specific book talk for each book, but 1, I didn't write any notes. 2, it took me, like, 3 months to finish The Sword of Summer because school sucks, and yeah, so it's a mashup. Let's get started. So one of the things I love about Riordan's writing is he always deals with people with different backgrounds and different problems and different things, and I love that because it's something we're not normally exposed to in books. I mean, nowadays we are, because there's, you know, the whole diversify reading, which is absolutely amazing, and I definitely want to read more diverse books this year as a personal goal for myself. But Riordan has always been dealing with that. Like with Percy Jackson, we have characters who are dyslexic and ADHD, and he turns it in from a disability to these kids into something that makes them feel special and like just amazing, and I just love that. Then we get introduced to Nico, who's a gay character, and him struggling with that. And what I really love about this book is we get more than that too. We get Sam, who is Muslim, and as I was reading, I was trying to figure out how she fit into this, because I don't know much about, you know, Islamic religion, but I know they have a very different view than, you know, the mythology with all the different gods that all stand for something else. So I was really wondering, when she started talking about her hijab and her religion and her family and her arranged marriage, how that fit into the world of Norse mythology. And she explains it in book 2, and I love the way Rick explained it to us, how instead of, you know, she's forced to come to grips with that, you know, Norse mythology, Norse gods are real, and instead of letting that like just completely destroy her and mess her up because it's not going along with what she's grown up to learn her entire life in her grandparents' home, the fact that she takes that and incorporates it into her view on her religion, and just like absorbs it and is just like, you know, this is real, but she doesn't view them as gods, she views them as divine entities. Which I really loved. I love that she still has held on to her faith with Allah and all of the stuff that goes along with that, and then still incorporated, you know, the North gods and whatnot into it, because she kind of has to. Unless she's just like, you just sit there and you think on it too much, and it's just gonna kind of destroy you as a person and your faith in your religion. We also get introduced to, in the second book, we get introduced to a new character named Alex Ferrero. I think I'm saying her last name right, I'm not really sure. Who happens to be gender fluid and transgender. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't read any books that have dealt with a transgender or gender fluid character, and so it was a very interesting read and get to see kind of how she works, and everything. Like, I thought that was really refreshing, because I mean, now there's a lot of stuff with like gay characters in them, but you don't really see much about transgender, and especially since that's been a real issue as of 2016. I think it's really good that it's thrown in there, and I really enjoyed to see that. One of the things I find really, really refreshing about this series is that our 2 main characters we really deal with are Sam and Magnus, and there is no romantic tendencies or like little, you know, leadings, like foreshadowings into it, and I just really like that their relationship is strictly platonic. Like, I know we do get that in Percy Jackson in the beginning of the series. Percy and Annabeth do end up together in the end of the series. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love them. They're like my OTP, like, forever and always. But just, like, you could tell that that was going to happen as you're reading through the books. And I just really like that we have these two characters and they're just strictly friends. And I love their friendship. Like, they argue like an old married couple. And I think it is the most hilarious thing I have ever read. So I really like that this is just strictly platonic and that's all it's ever going to be. However, I don't know if anybody else is thinking this, but Alex and Magnus would be like really cute together, and I can't tell if that's gonna happen. I have like a little feeling, and there are like certain areas and you can tell that Magnus is trying to like struggle through this, because I mean obviously he doesn't have a problem with Alex, he just doesn't want to upset her by giving her the wrong pronoun depending on what day and what mood she's in. But you can tell, like, maybe just a little, there is like a slight chance that something may happen, and I kind of wish it does because they'd be really, really cute together. Two of the other characters in the series are obviously Hearthstone and Blitzen, the dwarf and the elf, and I don't know if anybody else has gotten this vibe. I talked to my roommate about it. Her and I just talk like Riordan talk, like all the freaking time, like throwing out like theories and stuff. And I was talking to her because she read the Magnus Chase books before I did, and I was talking to her while I was reading The Sword of Summer, and I was telling her, I was like, are Blitzen and Hearth a thing? Because I kind of got the feeling that they are. Like, obviously they're very, very close friends, they trust each other with their lives, but I don't know, I got a feeling that they're a little bit more than what is being presented to us. And then Laura had told me it was funny because she said she didn't get that feeling until she read The Hammer of Thor, but I feel like Hammer of Thor made me think even more that they're together. So does anybody else like think they're a thing, like secretly, or like is that just me? We also deal with, in this book, Hearthstone, who is a deaf character, and I thought it was really interesting how he communicates with sign language, and I like that as, you know, we're reading from Magnus's point of view and he's explaining what's going on, he also, periodically, he'll explain certain hand gestures that Hearth makes and what they mean. So I really thought that was really cool because then you can kind of learn some sign language, you know, while you're reading Magnus Chase. In the first book, that Samara Sam does not like to use her powers because if she uses them, then that gives her into more tendencies that her father is like, and she obviously does not want to be anything like Loki. But then we learn in the second book that Alex shapeshifts all the time, and she said that is the way to defeat Loki's hold on you, is take the power for yourself. And I really hope we do get to see her. She can get Sam to come over and let her teach her how to harness her power and be able to not be under Loki's control whenever he's in the room, because, you know, that really puts a damper on a mission when you can't do what you're supposed to do because your dad can, like, knock you out and, like, keep you there so you can't do anything. So it's going to be interesting seeing Samara struggle with that and overcoming this, I can't use my powers, I don't want to you're gonna have to, because that's the only way you're gonna be able to defeat Loki, like, at all. Something that, I kind of mentioned this in my Trials of Apollo book talk, because it came up in that book too. We don't really get told much about, you just kind of think that the gods are attracted to the opposite sex that they are. However, we do learn in Hammer of Thor that Loki pretended to be a woman to seduce Alex's dad, and then showed up 9 months later with Alex, when Loki, you know, is obviously a man. And so I wonder if maybe that has anything to do with Alex being transgender? I don't know, I'm just spitballing ideas here, because I thought that was very, very interesting. So I wonder if that has anything to play into it, or it just has nothing to do with it, and I'm just, you know, making up ideas. So, at the end of Hammer of Thor, we see Magnus meet up with Annabeth because they're cousins and they're talking, and, you know, Magnus has realized that there's other gods out there because Annabeth is obviously a daughter of Athena, and so she told him all about the Greek and Roman stuff that she knows, and he told her all about the Norse mythology, and they're sitting there and talking, and he's telling her about how awful it is because Loki's escaped and they don't know what they're gonna do, and then the final lines of the book are, I think it's time you should meet my boyfriend, Percy. And let me just tell you, I was like, yes! Yes, 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 yes! Like, yes! So bad. Like, I want this so bad because Magnus and Percy would be hilarious together, and I can't wait. So I'm really hoping when we get the third book out in October, we get to see Percy and, like, all the rest of the gang, and it's just great. And I totally have this theory with my roommate. We have this giant theory we've been, like, kind of, like, communicating about back and forth, since we've read all of the books now, and that is, well, I haven't read Kane Chronicles. I've said that quite a few times. That is my goal. I'm going to read it this year, guys. That way, I will have read all of Riordan's books, except for the 2 that come out this year. But our theory is there are different parts in the different books, you know, they hint at there being something else, like, you know, other gods and stuff. And, like, Apollo kind of mentions it, too, in Trials of Apollo. He talks about, you know, he's the sun god for the Greek, and his Roman version is also whatever. He's the sun god for the Greek gods, but he also talks about, you know, just because he's mortal doesn't mean that the sun's not going to rise the next morning, because then he goes off and he lists several different sun gods from different mythologies, and what they do, and so he's like, it's always going to rise even without me. So then that tells you even more that obviously there's more to it, and we already know that there's the Greek and the Romans and Percy Jackson. If you read the King Chronicles, you know there's the Egyptians, and now with Magnus Chase we have the Norse, and it's flipping fantastic. And I have this theory that my roommate and I have been talking, because throughout every book there's always hints at there being other people. So, like, you know, in the first series of Percy Jackson, they're not allowed to go to California because it's just so bad. There's so many monsters and all this other stuff. Well, they can't go to California because that's where the Roman camp is. And they later figure out, you know, the Roman camp is the reason they weren't allowed to go, because they're not allowed to see each other, because they're afraid another war is gonna start out between the Greek and Romans. And then I haven't read King Chronicles, but my roommate Laura has, and she told me that in one scene, Carter, I believe is the boy's name, is standing outside, and theirs takes place in Brooklyn, and he's looking at the Empire State Building, and he swears he sees a flying horse circling around the Empire State Building. So there's connections, because Percy, I bet you it was Percy on his horse. And then we have Norse mythology, and Annabeth tells Magnus all about the Greek and Roman gods and all that, and so I've got this theory that there's this massive, about to destroy the freaking world, like probably worse than Gia, problem that's going to come up, and it's going to draw all of these different demigods from different mythology gods together to take down this awful being or whatever. And I was talking to my roommate, and we've been talking about this for a while, that this is what's going to happen. And she told me she thinks it's going to be Ragnarok is what's going to draw everybody together to fight and take down this awful thing and save the world. And I agree, and then I'm wondering if maybe with Trials of Apollo, we know that there are ancient emperors that are out to re-destroy the world, and Apollo has to figure out a way to stop them. And I'm wondering if it'll play a part into Magnus Chase with Ragnarok, and they're also a part of it, because this is all, I swear, this all has to, like, link up together. So I'm just like, I need the next 2 books, because I need to find out what happens, and I need to further my crackpot theory. That's it. I'm just, like, super pumped for the next 2 books, because I need to know what happens, and May and October are too far away, and I'm even more disappointed because I'm not going to be able to read Trials of Apollo Book 2 until I get back to the States, which won't be until, like, July. So I'm just, you know, it's okay. I just have to wait a little longer than everybody else, you know, it's whatever. Anyways, so like I said, that is it for this book talk and my thoughts. I'm sorry they're really rambly. I will make sure from now on to continue writing notes again. I just kind of forgot for a while because I'm a little out of practice at this. Let's talk in the comments. What'd you think of the books too? Anybody else got like this crackpot theory with me? Because like, I'm telling you, something's working. Something is working here. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more videos from me. And also all of my social media links and stuff is down below, so if you want to friend me or follow me or whatever, it's cool with me. My name's Chrissy and I will see you guys in my next video.